You're refreshing your banking app again. Not because you're worried, because today is payday. The number finally appears. You stare at it for a second longer than you expected to. Your first paycheck with the promotion. A little over $5,900 after taxes. 3 years ago, when you started this job, seeing a number like that would have felt unreal. You smile. Just a little. Not because you're rich. Because, for the first time in a while, you think maybe life is finally getting easier. Maybe this is the paycheck where you stop checking prices before ordering dinner. Maybe this is the month your savings finally starts growing. Maybe this is what everyone means when they say, "It gets better once you make more money." Your phone vibrates. A notification from your bank. Payroll deposit received. Another notification appears almost immediately. Credit card payment processed. Then another. Rent deducted. Internet bill. Car insurance. By the time you reach your apartment building, nearly half the money that felt so exciting 20 minutes ago already belongs to someone else. You don't think much about it. Everyone has bills. That's just adulthood. You carry groceries upstairs, unlock your apartment, and place the bags on the kitchen counter. While putting milk in the refrigerator, you notice something. The refrigerator is full. Really full. There are expensive protein drinks, imported yogurt, meal prep boxes, sparkling water that somehow costs 4 times as much as regular water. Nothing here feels extravagant, but none of it was here 3 years ago. Back then, groceries meant buying whatever was on sale. Now they're just normal. You didn't make a decision to spend more. You simply stopped noticing when it happened. That night, you open your budgeting app. Income has increased almost 40% since your first year at work. Your savings haven't. You scroll backward. 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Every raise follows the exact same pattern. Income goes up. A few months later, expenses quietly catch it. Not because of one huge purchase, because of dozens of tiny upgrades. A better apartment, coffee that became daily instead of weekly, food delivery replacing groceries, streaming services you barely watch, a gym membership you forgot to cancel, the newer phone, the faster internet, the weekend trips that somehow became expected instead of special. No single expense ruined you. Together, they quietly absorbed every dollar your future tried to send back. The strange part is, none of those purchases made you happier for very long. You remember obsessing over your current phone before buying it, watching reviews, comparing colors, waiting for launch day. 3 weeks later, it was just your phone. You remember finally moving into a nicer apartment. The first night felt incredible. 6 months later, it became the apartment that somehow already felt too small. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. Your brain is remarkably efficient at turning today's luxury into tomorrow's normal. Protects you from getting too comfortable. Unfortunately, it also protects you from staying satisfied. Saturday afternoon, you meet your friend Ethan for coffee. He arrived in the same old hatchback he's been driving since college. You joke about it. "Dude, when are you finally replacing that thing?" He laughs. "When it stops working." You expected that answer. What you didn't expect was what happened next. His phone buzzes. He glances at the screen, smiles, then locks it again. "What?" you ask. "Nothing." He shrugs. "My portfolio crossed $100,000 today." You almost laugh. Not because it's funny, because it doesn't make sense. You both graduated together. You work at the same company. Your salaries are nearly identical. You know this because HR accidentally sent the salary adjustment spreadsheet to the wrong department 2 years ago. Your paycheck, his paycheck, almost the same. "So how?" you finally ask. "I thought you were saving for a new car." "I was. So, I realized something." He stirs his coffee slowly. "The car would have looked rich." He pauses. "The portfolio actually makes me rich." That sentence follows you home. Not because it sounds clever, because you can't stop comparing it to your own numbers. You open your investment account. Balance: $8,430. You calculate Ethan's. About 12 times larger. Yet neither of you earns 12 times more. You open another tab. An investment calculator. If someone invests $800 every month into a broad stock market index earning roughly 10% annually, after 30 years they'd end up with around $1.8 million before taxes. You stare at the number, not because you'll become a millionaire overnight, because you're already spending almost $800 every month on things you barely notice anymore. The expensive groceries, subscriptions, impulse shopping, convenience, little comforts. None of them felt expensive individually. Together, they're quietly competing with your future. You close the calculator. For the first time, you don't feel guilty. You feel curious. Because maybe the problem was never that you earned too little. Maybe you've been giving every raise away before it ever had the chance to change your life. And once that thought enters your mind, you start seeing your paycheck very differently than you did this morning. Part 2. The number nobody sees. 3 days pass. Nothing changes. You still wake up at the same time, drive the same route, sit at the same desk, answer the same emails. But something in your head has become impossible to turn off. Every purchase now comes with a second price tag. Not the amount on the receipt. The amount that money could have become if you had left it alone. Monday morning. Your team is celebrating a promotion. Someone orders pastries. Another coworker jokes about finally upgrading to a luxury apartment now that the raise has hit. "I've earned it," he laughs. Everyone nods. You do too. But your mind drifts back to Ethan. The car would have looked rich. The portfolio actually makes me rich. That evening, you open your laptop. Not to check your bank balance. To calculate something you've never cared about before. Your net worth. Checking account. Savings. Investments. Retirement account. Then, credit card balance. Remaining car loan. Student loan. You subtract everything. The final number appears. $11,240. For a moment, you just stare at it. You've been working full-time for nearly 6 years. You've earned more than $420,000 in total salary during that time. Yet after all those paychecks, everything you truly own fits into a 5-digit number. That realization is strangely quiet. Nobody can see your net worth. Your neighbors don't know it. Your coworkers don't know it. Even your parents probably couldn't guess it. Income is public enough for people to estimate. Net worth is almost invisible. And invisible things rarely get celebrated. The next weekend, Ethan comes over. You finally ask him the question you've been avoiding. How did you get to 100 grand? He laughs. I didn't. You frown. What? I got there one automatic transfer at a time. He opens his phone. Not to show off. To show you something almost disappointingly ordinary. Every payday. One transfer. $650. Every month. For years. No stock trading. No crypto. No secret investment strategy. Just broad market index funds and consistency. I increased it every time I got a raise, he says. If my salary went up $500 a month, $400 of that increase went straight into investing. You do the math. That's the opposite of what you've been doing. Every raise you've received immediately became a nicer apartment, better restaurants, weekend trips, more subscriptions, small upgrades that quickly stopped feeling like upgrades. You remember reading something from behavioral economists. People don't compare their lifestyles to who they were 5 years ago. They compare themselves to the people around them today. Which means every promotion quietly changes your definition of normal. The coworkers driving nicer cars. The neighbors taking bigger vacations. The friends renovating kitchens. Without realizing it, your standards rise faster than your satisfaction. That night you make a list, not of expenses, of habits, morning coffee, food delivery, streaming services, shopping because work was stressful, replacing things that still worked. You total everything, almost $1,050 every month. Again, none of it feels outrageous, but together, it's almost 18% of your take-home pay. You open the investment calculator again. $1,050 invested every month. 30 years. 10% average annual return. The result appears. Just over $2.3 million. You lean back. Not because you think you'll suddenly save every dollar. Because you've never seen your spending translated into time before. Every recurring expense isn't just money. It's years of compounding. A week later, your company announces annual bonuses. The office buzzes with excitement. People immediately start talking about plans. New watches, home theaters, vacations. One coworker jokes, "My bonus is already spent." Everyone laughs, including you, until you realize he's probably telling the truth. According to surveys, a large share of unexpected income, bonuses, tax refunds, and windfalls, is spent within months rather than invested. Not because people are irresponsible, because money that arrives unexpectedly often feels temporary. Temporary money is easy to spend. Permanent wealth is built by treating temporary money as permanent capital. That night, you make a decision, not a dramatic one, nothing worthy of a social media post. You increase your automatic investment from $150 to $500 a month. You hesitate before pressing confirm. $500 feels like a lot. Then you remember something Ethan said before leaving. You never miss the money you automate. You press the button. The screen refreshes. That's it. No fireworks. No congratulation message. No feeling of becoming wealthy overnight. Just one quiet decision. 2 months later, you barely notice the transfer anymore. Your checking account adjusts. Your spending adjusts. Life continues. And something unexpected happens. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" Instead, you start asking, "Is this worth slowing down my future?" They're almost the same question. Almost. But the answers are completely different. One Friday afternoon, you're walking through a shopping mall when you pass a luxury watch boutique. A year ago, you would have stopped, gone inside, tried one on, imagined how successful you'd look wearing it. Today, you pause for a different reason. Inside the display case sits a watch priced at $9,800. You don't see a watch anymore. You see roughly $75,000 to $170,000 of potential future value, depending on how long that money stayed invested. For the first time, you realize wealth isn't built by making perfect decisions. It's built by making enough small decisions that nobody else notices. And the strange thing is, nobody has noticed yours yet either. Part 3, the day your salary finally caught up. 2 years pass faster than you expected. Not because life became exciting, because it became predictable. Every month, the same paycheck, the same automatic transfer, the same quiet routine. You stopped checking your investment account every week. At first, that felt strange. Then it became normal. Some months the market was down. Some months it climbed. You learn something almost nobody talks about. Your portfolio grows the most on the days you leave it alone. Then, on an ordinary Wednesday morning, HR sends an email. Promotion approved. Your new salary, $102,000 a year. 5 years ago, 6 figures sounded like the finish line. Now you're here. You expect to feel different. Instead, you feel exactly the same. You still drink the same coffee. You still drive the same car. You still have the same 24 hours everyone else has. The only thing that's changed is the size of the decisions you're now capable of making. That weekend, you meet a college friend you haven't seen in years. Marcus. He's doing well. Really well. Designer sneakers. Luxury watch. Brand new electric SUV parked outside the cafe. You spend an hour catching up. Then he says something that catches you off guard. "I finally hit 6 figures too." You smile. "So did I." He laughs. "Feels good, right?" It does. Then the conversation shifts. His SUV costs $78,000. Monthly payment, $1,140. Insurance, nearly $220 a month. Charging, maintenance, registration, everything adds up. "It hurts," he admits. "But you only live once." You nod politely. Not because you agree, because you remember saying the same thing about smaller purchases years ago. That night, curiosity wins again. You open a spreadsheet, not to judge Marcus, to understand the math. A payment of roughly $1,140 every month invested instead at an average 10% annual return over 30 years grows to around $2.3 million. You stare at the number, not because buying a nice car is wrong, because every recurring expense has a hidden twin, the visible cost, and the invisible future it quietly replaces. A week later, your investment account crosses another milestone, $52,000, halfway to where Ethan was when this all started. You remember feeling embarrassed by your first $150 monthly contribution. Now your automatic investment is $900 every month, and you barely think about it. The increase happened the same way your lifestyle used to expand. Slowly, automatically, except this time, the habit is working for you instead of against you. One evening, Ethan invites you over for dinner. His house isn't enormous. His furniture isn't trendy. His driveway isn't impressive. But after dinner, he shows you something you've never seen before. Not to brag, to answer a question you asked years ago. His investment dashboard. Portfolio balance. $486,000. You blink. Almost $500,000? He smiles. Almost. You got lucky? He laughs. No. Then he turns the screen toward you. A graph appears. It isn't exciting. There are no giant spikes. No overnight success. Just hundreds of small deposits stretching back almost a decade. Month after month. Year after year. What you're looking at, he says, isn't investment genius. It's boredom. He opens another chart. This one surprises you even more. The first $100,000 took him nearly 7 years. The next $100,000 arrived in less than 3. Then even faster. That's when you finally understand what people mean by compound growth. First, you're pushing the money. Eventually, the money starts pushing itself. By the time a portfolio reaches several $100,000, annual market growth can exceed what many people contribute in an entire year. That's when wealth begins to feel almost alive. Not because it's magic, because time has finally joined your side. Driving home, you think about something that used to confuse you. Why do some people earning $250,000 still feel broke, while others earning less seem completely at peace? The answer isn't income, it's obligations. Every recurring payment quietly claims a piece of tomorrow's paycheck before tomorrow even arrives. Freedom isn't determined by how much comes in. It's determined by how much is already spoken for. The next month, your company announces another round of bonuses. The office explodes with plans. Luxury vacations, new kitchens, bigger apartments. One coworker jokes, "I deserve this." You catch yourself smiling, because you realize you used to think exactly the same way. Now you ask a different question. What would future me thank me for? The answer isn't always investing. Sometimes it's traveling. Sometimes it's spending time with family. Sometimes it's buying something you'll genuinely use for years. The difference is, now every dollar has to earn its place. Not because you're cheap, because you're intentional. A few days later, your own portfolio quietly crosses $60,000. No notification, no applause, no congratulations from anyone. The world keeps moving as if nothing happened. And that's when it hits you. The biggest financial victories rarely look exciting while they're happening. They look like ordinary Tuesdays. A transfer, paycheck, a decision nobody else notices. You close the app, walk to your window. Your old car is still parked outside. A little older now. A few more scratches. Still starting on the first try. For years, you thought it was holding you back. Now, it feels like one of the reasons you've been moving forward all along. Part 4, the number that finally set you free. 7 years later, you're waiting at another red light. The same kind of intersection. The same evening traffic. The same few seconds where your eyes naturally wander to the car beside you. This time, it's a brand new luxury SUV. Metallic gray. Panoramic roof. dealer plates still attached. A younger version of you would have started doing the math immediately. Monthly payment, salary, job title, success. Instead, you notice something unexpected. Nothing happens. No tightness in your chest. No quiet comparison. Just another person driving home after work. The light turns green. You keep driving. Later that evening, you're updating a spreadsheet you've kept for years. Not because you have to, because it's become a monthly ritual. Portfolio balance, $612,487. Emergency fund, $32,000. Debt, $0. You sit back, not because you've made it, because you finally understand what all those quiet years were buying. It wasn't the portfolio, it was the choices. You remember a statistic you once ignored. Historically, the U.S. stock market has returned around 10% annually over long periods before inflation. At $600,000, a strong year in the market can add roughly $60,000 in value. Some years much less. Some years much more. Some years even negative. But over decades, the pattern has rewarded patience more often than prediction. You smile at the thought. Years ago, you were excited when your boss gave you a $6,000 raise. Now, in a good year, your investments can grow by much more than that without you working a single extra hour. Not because money is magical, because time has been working while you were busy living your life. The next week, Ethan calls. "I've got news." You laugh. "What is it this time?" "I retired." You almost think he's joking. He's only 42. "What do you mean retired?" "I mean, I don't need a paycheck anymore." He explains that his portfolio now generates enough income to cover his family's annual spending. Not through some secret investment. Not by getting lucky. By owning productive assets for long enough that the assets started paying for the life he had carefully designed. That's when you realize something. Financial independence isn't about never working again. It's about never being forced to work by fear. There's a difference. A huge one. A month later, your company announces another restructuring. People panic. Rumors spread through every hallway. Who's getting laid off? Who's staying? Years ago, this would have kept you awake all night. Today, you still care. You still want your job. But you're no longer terrified of losing it. Your emergency fund can cover over a year of expenses. Your investments continue working regardless of who signs your paycheck. For the first time in your career, your employer pays your salary. Your portfolio buys your peace of mind. You leave work early that Friday, not because you have somewhere important to be, because you simply feel like taking a walk. The park is full of families, cyclists, children chasing pigeons. An older man sits alone on a bench reading a paperback with a coffee beside him. No rush, no hurry, just time. You wonder if this is what wealth really looks like. Not expensive things. Control over your own afternoon. That evening, you stop by a dealership. Not because you're shopping, because it's on the way home. The exact model you once dreamed about sits in the showroom. The salesperson walks over. "Beautiful car, isn't it?" "It is." He starts explaining financing, monthly payments, low-interest promotions, trade-in bonuses. You listen politely. Then you thank him and walk back outside. Not because you can't afford the car. Because, somewhere along the journey, you stopped needing it to tell you who you were. You already know. When you get home, your old car is waiting in the driveway. 15 years old now. Far from perfect. You run your hand across the faded paint. Carried you to your first job interview. Through late-night grocery runs. Weekend road trips. Family emergencies. First dates. Promotions, quiet victories nobody else ever saw. You realize something almost funny. The car never once asked you to prove your success. Only people did. That night, you open your investment account one last time before bed. You don't check today's return, or this month's performance. You simply look at the number. Then you close the app. Years ago, you measured progress by what entered your life. A bigger apartment, a newer phone, a nicer car. Today, you measure it by what no longer controls your decisions. Debt, comparison, impulse. The need to impress people who were never paying your bills in the first place. Before turning off the lights, you remember that first promotion. The excitement, the bigger paycheck, the feeling that more income would finally solve everything. You were wrong. More income didn't change your life. More intention did. The raises helped. The investments mattered. Compound interest did its job. But none of it would have happened without hundreds of ordinary decisions that felt too small to matter. Skipping the unnecessary upgrade. Increasing the automatic transfer. Ignoring the comparison. Choosing patience over appearances. One decision never made you wealthy. Thousands of tiny ones did. Tomorrow is the 15th. Your automatic investment will leave your account again. You probably won't even notice it. No celebration. No dramatic music. No viral social media post announcing another milestone. Just another quiet transfer. Just another ordinary Tuesday. And maybe that's the biggest lesson of all. The world teaches you to recognize wealth by what people can see. The portfolio teaches you to recognize it by what people never will. Because real wealth isn't the car waiting at the red light beside you. It isn't the watch on your wrist, or the logo on your jacket. Real wealth is waking up one morning and realizing you no longer compare your life to strangers. You compare it only to the person you used to be. And somewhere between those ordinary Tuesdays, without anyone noticing, you became exactly the person you were trying to impress all along.